How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the final box to box of the Premier League season. It's game week 38. We're at home. We welcome Everton. Not the first time we're welcoming Everton on the last game of the season, but we are welcoming Everton with a chance, a very minuscule chance of potentially lifting the Premier League title come the end of it. Mike's face says it all. I agree. But yeah, there is a minimal chance. Big up, Mike. If you want to find out where he does his content, click the link in the title. Click the link in the description at the Blue Boys Network, not the at Blue Boys Network, boys with a Z, but it's there, people. Go show Mike some love. He's been contributing to box for years now. We've gone through the Angelotti era, the beginning of Arteta, the end of Emery, and here we are now in another turbulent. I mean, Everton seasons, they don't tend to ever go without some controversy or some headline breaking news throughout. And this season's been filled with points deduction, points reinstated, points deduction. And, you've made it in terms of staying in the Premier League. The points deduction haven't affected you as much as they could have because it came at a time when it put you rock bottom of the table. But it's the first time I'm speaking to an Everton fan for the majority of the season. So I want to know how you feel, Mike. I mean, you're still in the Premier League. The FA, have they done you over? Do you think it was the right decision? I mean, what is the background information on it all?
Yeah, so a lot of it's to do with areas of spending to do with the stadium, and obviously Turkish as always. Before I start, actually, thank you for having me on as always, and appreciate the love. Yeah, a lot of it's to do with costs of stadium, and what it's meant is the overhead costs at Everton. We haven't been able to comply with PSR because fundamentally our costs have increased. And as much as Everton have tried to reduce the playing team, and we've signed players and then sold players because we've had to reduce wage bills and whatever, we just haven't been able to do it enough to get around PSR. And we got hit with 10 points at first, which I think the whole football community thought was harsh. Mm-hmm. Then on top of that, I think we had the issue of, then there was another 4 points or 2 points or whatever it was. So Everton in total have been nailed with points really from the Premier League. We were lucky that we got 4 back off the 10, so that made it 6, and we were lucky that we got 2 instead of 4 in the end. So we ended up with an 8-point deduction. And when you actually look at Everton with those 8 points and actually where we are now, you'd probably say we've had an okay season. It's a team that it's not great. There's no outstanding players apart from one, which is Jared Brambley. Sean Dyche went through a long period of time where we didn't win games. So I think with all the turmoil and the positives of the new stadium, but then there's the takeover in the background, am I happy with we will be finishing around 11th or 12th? Yeah, I am. I am happy with that season. Am I concerned about next season? Yeah, absolutely. But we are going into this game very much on the beach. You would have saw it in our last home game. It was a 1-0 against the Sheffield United side that haven't got anything to play for as well. Yeah. We'll go to the Emirates, and I have no doubt you will win the game comfortably.
Yeah. Listen, you probably don't know much. You probably can't tell me much, but I mean, you support a club that's been on the receiving end of some sort of sanctions, imposed this season. We're competing with a club that have an investigation over them at this moment in time. I think, from what I know, very different circumstances around it. But as an Everton fan looking at it, what would you expect the outcome to be? What would you hope the outcome to be? Do you not care because it's, a team that's got nothing to do with you at this moment in time? Or do you think that Everton were used as, the setting the precedent and they should follow suit?
I think Everton put in a bit of a position really, because although we're not a top 6 club, we're still big enough for people to notice. And I think that is why Everton got hit really, really hard. I mean, there was also a disparagement between Forest only getting 4 points and Everton getting 6. I mean, that still doesn't make sense to me. And then when you look at Manchester City, 115 charges, over 30 charges, I think it is, towards not cooperating with the Premier League between certain years. it does make you wonder why Everton and Forest have been put in this position, but yet they haven't. And their charges go back so long that it would have had a detrimental effect on the league. Now, am I going to say that it would have changed the outcome of those seasons? I don't know, because what you tend to find with Manchester City, as much as it does everyone's head in, they always manage to finish on top. No matter what happens, they manage to find a way. And I truly think that if you take all of the seasons out, that they have been negligent and they've been naughty fundamentally. I still don't know if they wouldn't have won the title. I still don't know if they wouldn't have made it work, you know. So then to strip them of their titles, I honestly don't know. I think it's completely unfair that their trial was or is after Everton and Fulham and Nottingham Forest, simply because it's harder. There's more of it. So if Everton had broke the rules to 100 times rather than once, are you telling me Everton wouldn't have had points deductions this season, but maybe in 10 years' time? Because telling you now, I'd take that.
Yeah.
It's just a mess. And, you know, it's going to be another summer where they get to spend copious amounts of money on players, making this league, in my opinion, I mean, it's credit to Arsenal. I'll absolutely credit to Arsenal, because Arsenal, yet again, have actually gone one step further, I think, this season, and they've chased them, and they've been in front of them, and they've hassled and they've hurried. But Arsenal also had that moment that they did last season, you know, the 3-1 down at Southampton. They drew 3-3 last season. But that moment this season was losing 2-0 at home to Villa. And that has fundamentally, probably, unfortunately, cost you the league. And I really wished, I actually hoped for football's sake this year that Arsenal would win the league. I really, really did. And I still hope that they do. But Man City shouldn't be a Premier League team. They should be banned from competing at top flight for 3 or 4 years, I think. And that, I'm not having a dig at any Man City fan. You know, obviously we all love Big Steve, and I love other Man City creators, etc. But based on what their club has done and the ramifications that Everton and Forest have, they have to be relegated. They have to be.
So that's coming from someone who's been on the receiving end of something from the FA. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that, because it's different. Did you know? Did you know that the result of the investigation was coming this season at the start of the season, or was it just a random out of nowhere event?
There'd been rumours. There'd been rumours that this year there would be a firmer approach to PSR, because PSR and financial fair play has been in force about 10 years. It's only been this year that they've enforced it. But I didn't necessarily think it would happen, but there was a lot of rumours early on.
They might,
Which
is unfair again, because surely if you're under investigation for something, they should give you a definitive date when you're going to find out what, so you can essentially plan around it, you know, because look at where it hit you. It hit you, put you bottom of the league in quite an optimistic start of the season at the time. I remember it being, and it's kind of, you know, if you knew it was coming and the potential was there for it to come, I don't know if that makes a difference, but it would help, surely.
I think there's a lot of things about it that are wrong. So fundamentally, with PSR, there's no set guidelines, or there wasn't any until the Everton case. There was no set guidelines. It goes to an independent panel board every single time. So different people are making different decisions on different outcomes, which is completely ludicrous. It doesn't work, and that's why I think the Premier League has been very quick to change it. They saw in January the detrimental effect it had. I think January, I think it was something like £20 million was spent against something like 300 or 400 million the January before. It's made such a detrimental effect on the league that it's not made it fun. I don't know about you, and you might feel different because you've been in a title race. But I would argue for probably except a small amount of clubs, probably yourselves, Aston Villa, Manchester City, Luton, it's not really been a fun season. It's not been great. The refereeing decisions have been great. VAR's been horrendous. PSR has upset everyone. They couldn't do the business that they wanted in January. You just sit there and you think, what's the point? And then there's more rules and more things changing. You know, I was reading the other day that they're talking about how English league games may be played in Spain or France or USA or Qatar to please. You sit there and you think the game that me and you grew up watching, you know, and we started that passion of football 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Well, you know, it's gone. Like, it's gone. That football, that love that we had, that emotion is gone. You know, some of the VAR decisions that I've seen Arsenal get this season, as in negatives, have been appalling. Everton have been done several times. There's no ramifications for this. So when you look at the whole thing, PSR, Manchester City, VAR decisions, it's just not been a great season for Everton. We just haven't enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get this game out of the way. And to not think about Everton for 3 or 4 weeks. Can't wait.
I hear you. It's been one of those seasons. Even outside looking in, it's been like, fucking hell, let alone being inside. But that's interesting to hear those thoughts. And now we're at the end of the season. It's essentially a season wrap up, and yeah, like you said, you want to get this game out of the way. West Ham City, I expect that one to be, you know, an easy win for City as well. Who knows what might happen, but yeah, I mean, I expect Arsenal and City both to win. We'll be 2 points off. Essentially, yeah, you could say one step further than last season, but the only step forward next season would be now to win it. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, look, Liverpool, Klopp. I mean, your Merseyside rivals. What do you make of that? Do you think the Klopp departure will mean Liverpool now go through a period of challenging for top 4, potentially finding their feet, or do you think they're gonna hit the ground running essentially?
No, I think we're in real trouble. I think, and it isn't just me saying this as an Everton fan, but I look at the recruitment that they've had over the last 2 years with the replacements that they've made for players like Sadio Mane and Firmino, which is Núñez and Diaz. They're nowhere near the same level. The midfield, how that's changed over the last few years with Fabinho and Henderson and Thiago. Obviously, he didn't play much over the last 2 years, but the replacements that they've brought in are nowhere near that level either. What they've got is Jurgen Klopp, who no matter what he has done, and I'll give him 100% credit for this, is he has managed to get every single level of Liverpool Football Club, from the under-16s to the first team, playing exactly the same way, which has meant any young kid can come in at any level and do really well. And they've seen it. The youngsters that they've brought through, you know, Bradley, Trent Alexander-Arnold, the centre half, I can't pronounce his name. Kwanzaa. They're very good players. I don't think Arne Slot does the same thing. And I think they're going to go for a really, really difficult patch. I think there's only certain managers who could replace the charisma and the charismatic approach that Jurgen Klopp has. And I do think that man was probably Xabi Alonso, and the fact that he said no, I think they're going to have real problems next season. It would not surprise me if you see Liverpool finishing 9th or 10th next season.
So if I ask you about next season, do you think it's Arsenal's time, or do you think it's going to be Arsenal City toe to toe again? Do you think City, the juggernaut, are again going to make it a 5-peat now? I mean, what would be your early predictions?
I think it's a 2-horse race. I think it's Arsenal and Man City. I think Arteta's done an incredible job since when me and you first spoke. I was Ancelotti, very happy. You were Arteta, not so happy. Yep. And it's completely mad how that sort of turned on its head. Arteta's done a great job. He's managed to stabilise, and I'd argue that every fan is for him. But equally, coming second will only last so long under any fan base. So I do think next season's a big season. He's been backed. He's been supported. You know, he's got the goalkeeper he wanted. He's got the centre halves that he's wanted. They've been phenomenal this season. You just need that striker. You just need, in my opinion, you just need that striker, and maybe a a winger of some type just to fill in if Saka and Martinelli get injuries, or Trossard's been great. I can't fault Trossard, but maybe just having that one more option in there that could probably play across the three. The sort of player that I think would be brilliant would be a Jack Grealish. I think he would be phenomenal for Arsenal, and a lot of people have been talking about Tony from Brentford. For me, I like Tony. I'm not saying I don't, but I actually think you need a more running forward. I actually think you need someone like an Ollie Watkins, and who's probably not going to lead Villa in the first season in the Champions League with them. So for me, I think they're two positions that are absolutely key. And I think you need to give someone like Emile Smith Rowe to Everton to help us stay in the league. That would be nice.
Oh, I don't know about give, but we could probably potentially do here's a loan with an obligation to buy next year when your money's back up. We could do something.
Perfect. Yeah? I'll sign the contract tomorrow.
We'll talk off camera. We're just over 15 and hit the like button, people. We're gonna slowly but surely round off. It's not your usual box to box. No point talking too much about the game itself when, like Mike said, Everton are on the beach, and like I said, we're probably more focused on the West Ham City game than we are our own, because we need something in that one. But on the beach, Mike, Everton away. So I'm gonna go first on prediction. And usually last game of the season, especially at home, we score goals, we send the fans off in a great way. I'm going to go with a 4-1 win for Arsenal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. The last time we played, it was 4-0, and then I think the last time before that, it was a tighter game. I personally think it's either going to be 2 or 3-0. I can't see Everton scoring. I think we'll make it difficult because Sean Dyche won't want to just go there and just roll over. He won't want that. But ultimately, quality pace through, like it did at Goodison this season where you won 1-0. It'll be the same here. Once you get that one, then you'll go on a bit of a run. So yeah, 2-3-0 is what I expect. I don't think Everton will score. And actually, I know you've just said just about Manchester City and West Ham and how you're not particularly confident. David Moyes hasn't actually got a bad record against Manchester City. Yeah. And he certainly didn't Everton. He didn't. He's gone to the Etihad and won before. He's got a West Ham team with players that are going to be playing for big moves in the summer. I don't think it's going to be as easy for Man City as they think. And we all remember the Aguero moment because they were drawing to, I think it was relegated QPR, if you remember. So
yeah,
I actually think there might be some hope. I really do. And look, I have got my fingers crossed that Arsenal do win the league, which is weird because they would have to beat my team. But I am concerned the Premier League's becoming a farmers' league. And I don't want that. So we need somebody else to win it.
No, I get that. You see me right now, Mike, I'd prefer to be happily surprised or ecstatically surprised than bitterly disappointed. I thought Brighton might do something. I thought Fulham might do something. I said Tottenham won't do nothing. At halftime, I thought, hold on, they might do something. And then they did nothing. So with the last game of the season, I'm saying they'll do nothing. If Moyes pulls something out the bag, then so be it. I'll be a very different man to what I am right now. But people, show love to Mike and his channel, Blue Boys Network, on socials as well. Same thing, Blue Boys Network with a Z. You can see it on the screen. Link in the title, link in the description. Mike, love as always. We'll catch up again next year for sure. Everton have remained up. We'll see where we are then. But make sure you subscribe, people. Put the notification bell on. Do all of that good stuff. And we will be back with you real soon. Peace. We're out.